Asterix lifestyle.
I ain't had no choice in this game. I had to boss up. I made profit where you couldn't. Watch the game and understood it. Got a quote to pullin'. Hit a lick on color. Nigga, you turn.
I'm from Houston, Texas. Sometimes it's kind of hard to pin down what actual side. I mean, it's mostly South Side, Southwest, because my parents moved around a lot. So when I was born in the Clark. And then we moved from the Clark to over off Gessner. Then we moved from Gessner to West Ridge by K-Rose. Then we moved from there to Mo City. I spent the most time in Mo City and A-Leaf. So I tend to claim the SWAT or, Mo City in some respects. So yeah, I'm definitely from Houston, born and raised. Ooh, my childhood. My childhood was, it was very tumultuous at times. As I've gotten older, and I'm a man and a father, certain things I understand. It had its good and bad. It had a lot of bad. I had a lot of physical abuse, emotional abuse. And as I've gotten older and I understand certain things, I believe my mother was possibly very bipolar, possibly schizophrenic, because you never know who you was gonna wake up to that day. My father, and they're both gone, God rest their souls. My father, he worked a lot. And now as a father, I understand, but, I guess with anybody or any parent, there was room for improvement. So it had its ups and its downs. There was a lot of pressure on me because I'm the eldest now it's, including myself, it's 4 of us because my dad, when he got older, when he was like 50, he had my brother and my youngest brother, and he's my younger brother because he's the only other one, and my baby sister. I already had a younger sister that's 3 years apart from me, but the other 2 I'm 20 years apart from. And also dealing with that, how the juxtaposition of watching them grow up, 2 different childhoods, 2 different types of dads. I tell my little brother, I'm like, you get away with what you get away with because you got 50-year-old daddy. You didn't have him when he was 30, when he was strong, when you got him when he was older. So it has its ups and its downs, and it's a lot of stuff I'm still kind of working through. Back to my mother, she had a lot of things going on, and I used to have a lot of anger and rage towards her, but now I have great pity for her, because God knows what spawned what she was. And as we see now in this day and age, my mother was born in 64, 65, so mental health was not a focal point for Black women. You got to be mindful that the Civil Rights Act was 65. My mother was born a year before that. My father was born in 57. So God knows what she's been through. Some things I think she was forward about, which I'm not going to talk about, but I see that it was a cycle. It was definitely a cycle. When I go back and think about how my grandmother was towards her, it was like, you were out of pocket. Like that's not how you talk to your children. My father, on the other hand, both my parents are very intelligent. Both my parents are very high intellect people. In my house, I don't feel like I was raised, I feel like I was trained. My father taught me to have great pride in my name being a young blood, and he always used to press into me that when you go out, you not only represent your name, but you represent me. And the way you act is a reflection on me. And that's something I tell my children now, but now it's more balanced because now I have understanding that children are gonna make mistakes. They're gonna fall short. They don't know, just like I didn't know. And my father was a very stoic, intelligent man, musically gifted. Everybody in my family is musically gifted. Everybody in my family can sing except me. It was like diabetes. It skipped a generation. Now I can hold a note, but my sister can sing, like my daughter can sing, my dad can sing, my mom can sing. Me, I'm all right, but not like them. So it was, you know, it definitely had its up and downs. My dad come from the era that a man works all day, he comes in the house and he gets the big piece of chicken, he sits in his chair, he drinks from his cup, and his day is over. And I learned, nope, your day is just beginning. That I give my time to these people at these jobs that don't care about me. I'm replaceable to them, but then you give them everything for 8 hours and you have nothing when you get home. That's fallibility, and that's something my dad did not know. So it has, as you can tell from the way I'm talking, it had a even unanswered questions to this day, but I'm learning and I'm doing better. I'm processing it. I'm coming to terms with a lot of stuff. So it was a lot, but it's a process for me and my siblings, you know. These questions are so difficult because I've never said it on camera, but the hardest thing I've ever been through, that's a loaded question. Not a loaded question, but it's difficult because when your childhood is riddled with, and it's draped in rage and anger, everything felt like a bad time. You know, I dealt with a lot of physical abuse, emotional abuse, and sexual abuse, and it turned me. It made me into something else. I learned to become hard. I think dealing with that abuse with my mother, but again, she was bipolar, and I'm not excusing it, but I get it. I don't think she had control over everything. You know, with my mom, it was like, I don't know who I'm gonna talk to that day. One morning she'll get up, she'll be the most loving, kind, caring person. And then the next minute, she's very, she puts me down continuously. And I'm gifted with a great intellect, but my mother used to make me feel really low. Really low. I'll share a story with you guys. One day, me and my mom were sitting watching TV, and now you could never tell, but when I was like 12, 13, I idolized Usher. I loved Usher. Like, I loved the way he danced, the way he carried himself. And one day, Usher's on TV. You know, I'm kind of glued to the set, and my mother tells me, you know, she said, you know, if you would let me dress you like Usher and cut your hair like Usher, you know, it would be better for you. And the thought that plagued my mind at that time, even at my age, well, what's wrong with me? You know, I was never good enough. That's a difficult aspect. Then my mother got sick with cancer. So by right, I was supposed to graduate in 2005, but I was actually skipped 2 grades. So I don't remember kindergarten very much because I wasn't there very long, and they skipped me in 2nd grade because of intellect or whatever the case may be. And when my mother got sick, I spent 2 years out of high school at Elkins, and I had to take care of her and we had help from my grandmother, but you know, my grandmother's my grandmother. She has limitations. I'm about 14, 13 when she first got sick, and I had to step up. My father had to work. My sister, she's 3 years younger than me. So again, it was expected of me. You know, I'm the eldest, and there's a responsibility my father used to teach me that comes with being the oldest, because he's the oldest. And I seen it all. Like, I seen so much. You know, I remember times I would just pray for God to take my mother, because my mother is also my abuser. So it's a juxtaposition. Like, I don't want to see you suffer because you're my mother, but I'm also delighting in it in a sense because you're tormenting me. And I helped her with everything. I remember one time, again, I'm older, so I know better now. That when my mom had stomach cancer, and it was really, really bad. Stomach cancer is like one of the worst cancers you can get. It literally eats everything inside of your stomach. And I saw my mom wasting away. My mom is a strong woman. She was a very strong woman. Forceful, like not scared of anybody, anything. And I saw her waste away. And under the influence of that medication, it got to a point she couldn't remember me no more. I remember one time I was watching her in the hospital, and she just got up out of her bed, and she had the catheter hooked to her arm and stuff. And she was tangling herself up, and I'm like, hey, like, please sit down. Like, and she starts hitting me. And I'm like, she's like, get out of my way and all that. And then the next day she calls my grandmother and said, I'm abusing her. And I'm like, what? I never did no such thing. But again, now that I'm older, I get it. The mix of the radiation and chemotherapy and the powerful narcotics she had to take. And I endured a lot. But you can make it. It is doable. It seems grim, and it is. And it doesn't feel good. And you deal with the remnants of everything that you've been through. And but it's all good. I'm better. Oh, if I'm being honest, I'm not all the way through it. I'm learning. I take therapy. And I learned that therapy does not necessarily tell you what to do. It gives you the tools to deal with this stuff. And I find that with a lot of us black men and black women, we just don't have the tools. And I got through it. I'm still working. Still like, because I was in a place of rage for a long time. I'm far beyond anger. I'm enraged. Like, my arm would go numb when I get mad. My eye would twitch. Now anger is so debilitating for me that when I get really mad, I have to go to sleep because I can't do anything else anymore. It robs me of all my energy. It robs me of all my drive. So I have to find a better way. And that which you perpetuate, your children pick up. I'm still working through it. I get it now. A lot of things I've come to understand. The old people back in the day, when you used to make comments about your grandmother and her age and how she didn't walk so fast, those elders would give you the response of, keep getting up in the morning. You'll see. And now I see. With my son, I call my dad and I had to tell him I was sorry for some of the things I put you through, because now I get it. I get it, man. Like, I'm still working. It's taking its time, but I'm much better. I've come to be honest with myself, honest about how I feel. And I think the gateway to healing, you might not be all the way there, but a good start is honesty. I find it insipid at times that some of us can believe in a deity that we cannot see, yet you cannot believe in yourself. That doesn't even make sense. That you will believe in something that you cannot see or touch, but you who have the power. And I believe, but I also do the work, because your work is a belief. Your hands, I believe in the scriptures, the book of James tells us that my faith is in what I do. And if you want to be healed, if you want to work through it, you got to do the work. A lot of people don't like Ayanna, but she tells you to face it. You got to stand in it. And it's ugly. Everything I've been through is ugly in the mirror. I see the remnants on myself. And sometimes I look at myself and I can't see myself. I see what I've been through. I see when I was defenseless, when I couldn't protect myself. And in turn, as you get older, that becomes into a necessity need to protect not only myself, but the people I love. I see it now. And now that I see it, I'm doing something about it. My therapist told me that I live in a cluttered house. I'm essentially a hoarder. Every negative thing, I remember what was done to me. Every negative thought perpetuated towards me. When people made fun of me that was supposed to love me, people lied on me that I was giving my all to. I remember it, but now I'm better than that now. Three rules I live by. My first rule that I've learned within the last few years is be who you are, not who you were conditioned to be. And that's a big one for me because, man, I mean, I'm a nerd, bro. Like, I like video games. I like anime. I like comic book characters. Man, I have an encyclopedic knowledge of Marvel characters and anime characters. But I'm going to punch you out, though. And that mindset is conditioning because when I was at school, I just couldn't do anything without any kind of scrutiny. It was like no matter what I did, I'm never good enough. So you know what? I used to let people slide and I would come home just in such despair until I started punching on people. See, now you understand. You know, even now my conditioning is I sympathize with the villains when I see a lot of stuff because I get it. I tried to be friends. I tried to be nice. I tried to talk. You didn't want that. So now I give you destruction. That's why you hear me call myself by the moniker the Destroyer, because that's conditioning, but it doesn't have to be that way. I don't have to do that. My family needs a different side of me. The Destroyer is not going to work all the time. My daughter, when she's coming to me and telling me about her day, does not need the Destroyer. She needs a father. Another rule I live by is you got to be honest with yourself. Like, we live in a world of such fantasy. We live in a world where you can get on the internet and be who you really are to compensate for the fact that you don't want to face what's going on. Be who you really are, because who you really are, you can deal with if you choose. But again, it's ugly. You see the scars of what you've been through. You see, every time you look in the mirror and you think, you compensate by trying to be somebody else, and it does not work. Eventually, the real you is going to come out, and you know what? I've learned to be comfortable with the real me, who I really am. Sure, I 100% am the Destroyer. I am 100% the head of the table. But I'm really DeQuentin. I'm flesh and blood. I'm a man. I have feelings. I have things that I think, perspectives that I want to understand, gateways that I'm trying to walk through, whether it be financially, mentally, emotionally. These are things I'm seeking. And I have to be honest about that so I may be healed. I guess the third rule I live by, he who rushes into things head first will lose his head. My father used to teach me that. That's a proverb that's saying anybody that rushes into things, you will fail. Be calculated. Think. We live in such a day and age that there's nothing but emotion, but it's not balanced. Emotion must be balanced with wisdom. That's why a lot of people are givers, but don't know how to say no, because it's unbalanced. Temper your thought process with wisdom. Think. It takes 2 seconds to stop and ask yourself, because watch this, that rule of being honest with yourself culminates with thinking, because you got to ask yourself, is this what I really want to do? No. Be who you are. Think. Use your head. My daddy used to tell me, son, use your head for more than a hat rack. Use your head for more than a place to put your do-rag. Use your head for more than a place to put your respective hair pieces or whatever chemical you decide to put in there or color. Use your head. And if you use your head, you won't lose your head. Ooh, a good piece of advice I would give someone. I got to go back to my father. Never stick your hand in the lion's mouth. What that means is that I understand calamity and trouble and things we cannot control happen, but don't voluntarily put yourself there. Don't keep putting your hand in the lion's mouth and surprise when he bites it off. My father used to teach me a story about there was a man who saved a snake on the side of the road. And the snake was in the freezing cold and was dying, and the man took him home and he warmed him up, nursed him back to health, and the snake and the man became good friends. He was a companion till one day the man reaches out to pet the snake and the snake bites him. And the man is in shock. He's in awe. It's like, why would you bite me? And as the poison is overtaking his body and he's slowly dying, why would you bite me? I took care of you. I've been there for you. And the snake looks back at him coldly and says, you knew I was a snake when you picked me up. Why do you volunteer yourself for foolishness? You know the time that you spend destroying yourself, you really could spend healing yourself. We spend more time destroying ourselves. When if you invest that time into your healing, because healing doesn't feel good. It don't feel good. And I equate it to surgery. Surgery is meant to save your life. But the process is so painful and so unbearable that you have to be put unconscious to be healed. But see, in your life, it don't work that way. You got to be up for this one. But you can diminish some of the trouble you get into by not walking into it. Don't put your hand in the lion's mouth.
What's something you want to share with the world?
Something I want to share with the world. That's a great question. I don't know if it's something I would share with the world, but I want to reiterate, use your head. I need you to realize that you're smarter than you've been given credit for. I need you to realize you're more talented. You've been wrote off. Absolutely. People can't see it, didn't see it. And for all the truth is, they couldn't see it because it was not for them to see. Be better. You have an opportunity. Does everybody's opportunities look the same? No. Do all of these opportunities always lead to the grand scheme of success? No. But you have an opportunity. Do better. You have the option. It's really that simple. Do better. And I guess, I don't know, learn from your mistakes. And I mean really learn from it. Learn. Remember where you were. And on top of learning those mistakes, when you see a brother or sister that's making the same mistakes, have pity. Have concern. Remember when it was you. And do what you can do. Do what you can do for your brother or sister, whatever that means for you. Do what you can. Nobody's asking you to change the whole world. We put such pressure on ourselves for things that you were not destined to do in the first place. But you know what you can do? You can do what you can do on your level. And you can do it the way you do it. Make a difference. Don't be so different that you don't make a difference. Because now we live in an age, in a society that everybody wants to be different, but their difference does not do anything. It does not affect anything. It's nothing positive. It's just different just to say I'm different with no substance. Make a difference where you can. Again, everybody's not called to change the whole world. Everybody's not a Michael Jackson. Some people got to be a Teddy Pendergrass. Nothing wrong with that. Everybody can't be Prince. Some people got to be Soulja Boy. Nothing wrong with that. But you affect who you can affect where you can affect them. Sanity. Emotional, intellectual, and financial discipline. Those are things that I'm working on. Discipline is everything. Like, I'm in Taekwondo. Yes, my giant self is in Taekwondo for physical improvement. But I'm learning I love to fight. And let me tell you something. God didn't give me no basketball. He didn't give me football. He didn't give me none of that stuff. But combat, he gave that to me. But now I'm learning there is a discipline. Knowing when not to fight takes more discipline than fighting itself. Knowing when to say, you know what? All right. Okay. I can let it slide this time. Don't be a habitual person that people can walk over, because that's what you will become. You are the doormat. Have some gumption. So those three aspects of discipline are very important for me. Those are things that need to be mastered. And truth be told, you work 24 hours a day to get 1% better. Every day, but that 1% adds up. Discipline. And man, I want them to feel purple so bad. But I had to sit back and ask myself, is this really that important? Why would you want to feel purples when you're working on getting a house? Well, is this really that important to me? No. Stability is more important to me. Because I grew up poor. I grew up in the fire sale, and my children, they love the thrift store, but for me, when I started making my own, I said, I'll never go back. I'll never go back to that. I'll never go back to fake brands and being tormented. I'll never go back. But then it made me reckless with my money. What's the point of making money and it's not doing anything? Discipline. Discipline says I don't go to the club and buy a bottle for $450 that's normally $65 in a liquor store. But because, watch this, not only are you not financially disciplined, you're not emotionally disciplined, because you care about what people think about you. And in a sense, you need to care about what they say about your name. Even though it was complete foolishness, Birdman was right. Put some respect on my name. But if you're not edifying your name through your actions, then you will not have any respect. Again, discipline. Discipline says, why do I have a 2023 foreign vehicle, but I live with my parents? Misplaced priorities. That you have enough clothes and shoes to start a mint, yet you have no life insurance. And when you pass, we're stuck selling catfish plates and barbecue plates because you didn't take care of your business. Physical discipline. Every impulse I feel is not for me to act on. I can't give in to everything I feel in my body. Even sometimes when certain things are giving me pain, because also you realize as you start to get older and learn your body that you get these aches and pains, but you don't stretch either. And isn't that so important for your life? You don't stretch. You don't reach for things that don't seem attainable. You're comfortable where you are. See, there's a physical, all of it plays together. All of it. It all goes hand in hand. They all walk down the street together. They all live in the same house. Those are things that I'm really, really working on. This is my first Bronz talk. Rejoice, for you have heard wisdom from the head of the table. Take it and use it. What an asshole. You see this guy? I didn't record any of this. Looking ass.
Asterisk lifestyle.